children to become functional adults is, of course, a process.
Yes, it is. We send our children off to school for years and immerse them in academics. But are schools teaching them the skills they need to survive in the real world, or is that the parents' responsibility?
Well, I think both people could do it. You know what I mean? There's some from the parents. Like, your parents can show you, even just by example, how to do things like personal finance.
Yeah, boil an egg.
Boil an egg. You know, but
Yeah.
you should also, why can't we have accounting in school?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
and when you're a kid, even start teaching kids about savings accounts even.
Absolutely.
On social media, we asked Frangelistas, where should children learn adult life skills? 53% said from parents, 47% said in school. That's not that far off.
It's not that far off,
Yeah.
but what if the parents don't know the skills?
Well, see, that's the thing. I believe that is actually the issue a lot of times, that what you do learn it from your parents, it's just not the thing that's helpful.
Yes. Well,
You know.
joining us today in the studio is education consultant Queenie Johnson. Welcome.
Hi, Queenie. Thank you for being here.
Okay, so our question is, are schools doing enough, or should the parents be doing it in terms of teaching kids real life skills?
You guys have asked the $1 million question, right? Like, if we could figure this out, we could figure out life. The problem is schools are teaching, but the growing body of knowledge is excelling at a pace that schools cannot keep up with. Then you have, so we're going to talk about this, we got to be real, you have the poverty issue, right? And schools were not created, compulsory schooling was not created to ensure that every person in society could make it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Let's just be real. And so because of that, there will be a group of kids who are just missing information, because those gaps are purposely created so that those students won't be able to compete. I'm sorry, ladies.
Oh, no, you are keeping it really
about
going.
any of that.
Dude, talking about Dewey, John Dewey in history, the educational system was about getting people up to a level to work in a factory.
Yes.
And that was it.
That
was basically that's the sum total of it. Because I do believe that a lot of the things like how to deal with, like you were saying, stocks.
Yeah.
That's not something that your average American kid's parents have.
Yeah, my mama didn't sit me around the dinner table and then pull out the paper and said, okay, let me show you what a blue chip is, right?
Absolutely. No, you have kids who are either standing in line for Nike or know how to buy and invest in Nike, right? And that's a big difference, right? And so here's the thing. Who is responsible for teaching those groups of kids whose parents don't have the knowledge?
Right.
This is where civic engagement comes into play. This is when we all have to say, we want a society where everyone has a base level of knowledge to where we can all live in a good place, right?
Yes.
That's the thing. But who wants to invest in that? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I know a person who went to college as a BA and literally turned to me one day and said, when is tax day? At 28 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you've missed it a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Number one.
And you had a roommate who said, when do I vote?
That was the same person. Yeah, she's challenged. But she has. But that's the thing. It's like the lack of civics in terms of, like, these are things that we should all know. It's the first Tuesday in November are general elections. That how do you register to vote? How to ask. What I've noticed is how to ask for things.
How to be resourced, right? That's the question. So the thing is, it's not that schools aren't teaching it. Almost, this might be counterintuitive. I think that schools are teaching far too much, right? And so if an average student in high school has 3 hours of homework every night.
That's crazy.
You go to school at 7, you get home at 3, don't have any sports or activities.
Right.
So now you're starting homework at 6, you get to bed at 11. How are kids able to conceptualize and really get this information inside of them? They're just memorizing it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And so here's what we can do. We can set it up to where we teach kids how to think.
Right.
Yeah.
See, like thinking and memorizing is different, right? So there's frameworks that you can establish so that kids can know how to think. So when, if I'm asking a student, high school, even elementary, you can start this in elementary. Where do we get this information for? Where are places that we can find information if we lack information? That's the number one thing. We can't just say go to Google, because now we have to learn how do you validate information.
Exactly.
Wikipedia is please don't. Please don't footnote Wikipedia. Don't do that. Well, we sent our Me Time crew out into the neighborhood to ask, what's a life skill you wish you would have learned in school? Take a look.
I wish I learned in school how to do taxes and, buy houses and balance checks, things that we need to do now as adults.
Financial literacy, they didn't teach us that in school. They taught us about everything else, how Christopher Columbus allegedly came over here, but they never taught us how to prepare for life for real. We just learned stuff in school that we don't use today.
Sewing, when I was in high school, there was it was a class called Senior Survival. It taught us all about how to do taxes and sewing and stuff. I think we did learn how to do it, but I never retained any of that. I wish I would have paid attention more in school.
Yeah, and and even just going to we're talking about macro stuff.
Yeah.
But even going down to the micro, people don't know how to put a button on a shirt. They don't know how to boil an egg.
Don't know how to read a clock.
Yes, an analog clock. Kids
Her
can't
husband's
read
a
it.
teacher of kids who are in college.
Yeah.
And they can't read an analog clock.
Yeah, they're thinking about taking that out because we all do digital now. Is it necessary? And that's the thing with technology advancing. Do you need some of the skills that our parents needed to survive in this society?
Me Time with Frangela.